Imagine walking through a quiet coastline in the Philippines at sunrise. The sky slowly shifts from deep blue into warm gold as the waves brush against the sand. The air feels fresh, the world is still waking up, and somewhere nearby, a fisherman prepares a food so rare that many Filipinos themselves haven't tasted it. Today, we go deep into the untold world of the Philippines' rarest foods, dishes whispered among locals, hidden in distant provinces, almost forgotten by time. These foods are more than meals, they are cultural treasures, living memories, and powerful stories of survival, identity, and tradition. As you watch, take a deep breath and let your curiosity open fully, because this journey will challenge what you think you know about Filipino cuisine. And before we go deeper, remember to subscribe so you never miss documentaries like this. Your support helps this channel grow and bring more stories like this to life. The Philippines is known for iconic dishes like adobo, sinigang, and lechon, but beyond the famous meals lies a universe of culinary secrets. Some of these dishes are only cooked once a year. Some are made from ingredients you can only find in a single island. Some are so old, their origins are tied to ancient rituals and tribes that existed long before the Spanish arrived. And today, we are going to explore them one by one, discovering why they became rare, what makes them special, and why the world is only now beginning to notice. Our journey begins in Palawan, deep inside mangrove forests where nature feels untouched and alive. Here, locals gather a food called tamilok. Many people around the world view it with hesitation because of how it looks, but for the people of Palawan, tamilok is known as their wood oyster, a rare delicacy found only inside mangrove trees. For generations, families have passed down the tradition of harvesting it, carefully splitting open old mangrove trunks to reveal the long, soft, and slippery creature hidden inside. It's eaten fresh with vinegar, chilies, and onions, simple, pure, and deeply connected to the ecosystem. What makes tamilok rare isn't just the ingredient, it's the knowledge behind it. Only a few elders today know the right kind of tree, the correct season, and the safe way to harvest it. As these elders grow older, the younger generation becomes less familiar with the process. That's how foods disappear, not by force, but simply because fewer hands remember how to create them. Whether you would try tamilok or not, its story tells us something important. Food is not just food. It is identity. It is nature. It is memory. And as we continue, you will see how every rare dish in the Philippines carries a similar message. Before we move to the next story, make sure you like this video. If you're learning something new, it helps this documentary reach more people interested in Philippine culture. Let's travel now to Bicol, a region known for its volcanoes, powerful landscapes, and spicy flavors. Here, in small villages and remote households, there is a dish so unique that even many Filipinos outside the region have never heard of it. It's called canales. While versions of the dish exist in restaurants today, the original preparation is almost forgotten. True canales is cooked for hours using the head of beef or pork, patiently boiled until the meat softens and naturally unsticks, which is what the word canales means. The broth becomes rich, thick, and full of flavor from bones, marrow, and collagen. But because making canales requires time, patience, and a large family gathering, the true version is rarely prepared today. Modern life simply moves too fast. People work long hours, families are scattered across cities, and slow ancestral cooking becomes harder to maintain. But when you talk to older Bicolanos, they will tell you that real canales isn't about convenience, it's about connection. It's about gathering around a large pot as stories are shared, children play outside, and adults laugh between sips of hot broth. The dish becomes a symbol of togetherness, and when that tradition slows down, the dish slowly becomes rare. Moments like this remind us why documenting these foods matters. Without videos like this, without stories passed down, the knowledge risks disappearing completely. So, if you want more documentaries that help preserve culture, remember to subscribe. Your support makes this possible. From Bicol, our journey takes us far north, to the mountain province of Kalinga. Here, Among the rolling hills and cool wines, the indigenous but tribe has a dish known only within their community. It's a rare version of etag, traditional preserved meat. While store-bought versions exist today, the original process is almost sacred, and stored above a wooden lid dries it for days. The meat is salted, wrapped. The smell of burning pine mixes with the aroma of meat, creating a flavor linked directly to the mountains themselves. What makes this version rare is not just the ingredient, it's the ritual. It's the community gathered together. It's the mountain air, the wood, the people, and the time. You cannot buy that in a store. And as modernization reaches these remote places, fewer young people are learning the ancient method. Foods like this show how fragile cultural heritage can be. Think about your own traditions. Think about a dish your grandmother used to cook something only she knew exactly how to prepare. When she's no longer around, that dish may disappear forever. That is exactly what is happening in regions across the Philippines. And telling these stories matters. If this documentary is helping you feel the deeper meaning behind food, please drop a comment below. It helps the algorithm push this story to more people who care about culture. Next, we move toward the Visayas, where the sea provides both life and mystery. On the island of Romblon, a rare delicacy called sarsiado nga danggit is prepared only by a few remaining families. At first glance, it looks like ordinary dried fish, but the original version uses an old technique that requires fresh danggit to be sun-dried under very specific conditions. The fish must dry slowly in clean coastal air. Never rushed, never salted too heavily, and always monitored with skill passed down through generations. Today, fast commercial drying methods are replacing these traditions, and the original flavor is slowly fading. What was once common is becoming rare because industrial shortcuts make the old methods seem inconvenient. But this documentary isn't just about food disappearing, it's about why these foods deserve to survive. Because behind each ingredient is a story of ancestors who adapted to their environment, respected nature, and created flavors unique to the Philippines. And that is worth protecting. If you agree, don't forget to hit the like button, it really helps this channel grow. We now head to the heart of Mindanao, where one of the rarest dishes in the country is made, hinango. This ancestral food from the Manobo tribe is prepared using grated cassava, coconut, and banana leaves. But the magic lies in the fermentation, a natural process guided entirely by the senses. Elders describe it through smell, touch, and instinct. No timers, no machines, no written measurements. It is cooking guided by heritage. Unfortunately, very few still understand the correct timing, and improper preparation can make cassava unsafe. That's why only the most experienced elders continue to prepare hinango today. It is a recipe woven into culture, knowledge, and survival. As we explore these foods, one truth becomes clear. Rare dishes do not become rare because they are unimportant. They become rare because they require time, patience, and knowledge, things the modern world often forgets to value. These foods remind us that tradition is fragile, that culture can fade without being destroyed, that silence, distance, and time alone can erase something precious. If this documentary is opening your eyes to the hidden food heritage of the Philippines, make sure to subscribe. More stories like this are coming, and your support keeps these traditions alive. As our journey moves deeper into the Philippines, we begin to see a pattern forming. Rare foods are not just rare because of ingredients. They become rare because the world around them changes faster than the traditions that created them. And as modern life rushes forward, these dishes wait quietly in the background, hoping someone will remember their story. This documentary aims to keep those stories alive. And if you feel the same, subscribing now helps preserve these cultural treasures for future generations who might never experience them firsthand. Now let's travel back to Luzon, to a place where forests cover the land like a living blanket. In the province of Quezon, there is a dish known among older families as pancit habhab. But the rare version isn't the one sold today in busy food stalls. The true ancient form was cooked with wild mushrooms and native vegetables harvested from the mountains. These plants were once so common that locals picked them freely, using their freshness to create a simple but deeply flavorful meal. But as forests changed and urban development grew, many of those wild ingredients became harder to find. The dish that once represented mountain life slowly shifted to a more modern version made with common noodles and basic ingredients. The original recipe still exists, but only in the memories of elders who lived through a time when the land provided directly to every household. When they speak about the old flavor, their eyes light up with nostalgia, remembering a taste that today's generation may never fully experience. In every region of the Philippines, rarity has a story. Sometimes it's nature, sometimes it's time, and sometimes it's simply that the world has moved too far away from the old ways of cooking. If this message resonates with you, drop a comment sharing a dish from your own childhood that's hard to find today. Your stories matter, just like these dishes matter. Our next stop brings us to Iloilo, where the famous lapas bachoy is known across the country. But few know that there is an older, more fragile version of this dish that is rarely prepared today. The original method used freshly ground meat from local markets, bone marrow scraped by hand, and a broth simmered slowly until it reached a naturally sweet richness. Everything was made from scratch. The noodles were hand-pulled. The toppings were crafted with patience. But as demand grew and time became short, mass-produced ingredients replaced the handmade process. The flavor changed. The tradition shifted. And the original version became something only historians, older cooks, and long-time residents remember. What was once common is now rare proof that even famous dishes can have forgotten roots.
Now let's move to the island of Batanes, one of the most isolated places in the Philippines. Here, the Ivatan people prepare a dish called uvod, made from finely pounded banana trunks mixed with ground meat. But the rarest version is prepared during special gatherings, using banana varieties that don't grow anywhere else in the country. Because these bananas only grow in specific climates and conditions, the original uvod is becoming harder to make. It's a dish that carries the identity of the Ivatan people, shaped by the winds, the land, and the isolation of their environment. Foods like this remind us that geography shapes flavor. And when geography changes, even slightly, entire culinary traditions risk fading into memory. As you watch this documentary, take a moment to remember that every dish in the world, no matter how simple or unusual, carries a piece of history. When we lose a food, we lose a story. When we lose a story, we lose a part of our identity. This is why preserving rare foods matters. And if you support this mission, leave a like. It helps more people discover these cultural stories. Traveling now to Leyte, we find a dish known as moron. Many Filipinos know the modern version, a sweet sticky rice wrapped in banana leaves. But few know that the original version was more complex, made with cacao ground by hand, rice processed naturally, and leaves smoked lightly over natural wood to create a unique fragrance. Every step had meaning. Every ingredient told a chapter of the community's life. Today, shortcuts and mass production have replaced much of the original process. The true version becomes rarer each year, preserved only by a handful of families who refuse to let the old method disappear. And then, there is the story of the Tausig people in Sulu, who prepare a dish known as tiyula item. Many versions of this dish literally burned coconut, turned into black powder, by skilled hands. What makes this dish rare isn't the ingredient, it's the mastery required to prepare it correctly. As younger generations move toward fast food and modern meals, fewer people have the time or interest to learn such an art. The dish still exists, yes, but its most authentic form is becoming a treasure that only a few guardians of the culture still protect.
When we talk to the elders of these communities, we hear the same message over and over. If nobody teaches the next generation, the dish will disappear. This documentary becomes more than storytelling. It becomes a reminder, a bridge, a connection between past and future. And your support by liking, subscribing, or simply staying until the end plays a part in keeping these traditions alive. Thank you for being here, and let's continue our journey. Next, let's travel to Antique, where a dish known locally as linape is prepared from taro leaves, coconut milk, and small freshwater shrimp. But the rare version uses specific taro leaves that must be handled with care because improper preparation can cause an itchy or unpleasant taste. This special method is slowly fading because fewer cooks know how to process the leaves perfectly. It takes experience, precision, and patience. That is why the original linape is becoming a hidden treasure in Antique known by few, mastered by even fewer. But as we explore all these rare dishes, something else becomes clear. The Philippines is not losing its food culture. Instead, it is evolving. It is changing. And sometimes, change creates space for old traditions to shine again if someone takes the time to reveal them. That is the purpose of this documentary. To uncover what is hidden, to honor what is nearly forgotten, and to inspire others to look closer at the stories around them. Before we move forward, if you are enjoying this deep exploration into the rare foods of the Philippines, make sure you subscribe. More powerful stories are coming soon, and your support helps preserve these cultural gems for the next generation. As our exploration continues, we begin to realize that rare foods are not only treasures of flavor but also quiet survivors of history. Some dishes have lived through colonization, wars, shifting climates, and changing lifestyles. Others are kept alive by only a handful of dedicated cooks who still remember the original ingredients and the ancient methods that shaped their childhood. These stories remind us that behind every ingredient is a piece of the Filipino soul, a legacy worth keeping. And if you feel the same way, remember to subscribe because more journeys like this deserve to be documented, preserved, and shared with the world. Traveling now to the untouched corners of Zamboanga del Norte, there is a special delicacy known among locals as tiyulabuke. It is often mistaken for other dishes, but its rarest form uses specific cuts of meat, traditional spices grown locally, and a slow cooking process guided only by the senses. There are no exact measurements, no fixed temperature, and no timers. The dish depends on instinct, tradition, and the natural aroma of the ingredients blending together.
Only a few old families still practice the original recipe. Younger generations are familiar with the modern version, but rarely the authentic one. And as elders age, the original technique becomes more precious, more fragile, and more at risk of fading into silence. From Zamboanga we move to Samar, where a dish called binagal is known among Filipinos. But what many don't know is that the rarest version is made using hand-pounded taro, cooked slowly in coconut milk over wood fire, and packed inside coconut shells, wrapped in soft banana leaves. This method requires patience, strength, and skill that cannot be replaced by machines. Today, only a few home cooks continue to prepare it this way. Most modern versions use shortcuts that change the taste, texture, and soul of the dish. The original binagal stands as a reminder that patience can create magic, and that the best flavors often come from simple ingredients crafted with care. Our journey now carries us to the mountains of Cordillera, where the cool air whispers stories of ancient tribes. There, deep within remote villages, a dish called kiniing is prepared using sun-drying and smoking techniques passed down through many generations. But the rare version of kiniing uses only natural mountain wood, dried slowly by air that carries the pure scent of pine. With climate change affecting temperatures and humidity, the conditions needed to create the perfect kiniing are becoming harder to find. This makes the dish not only rare, but deeply symbolic proof that the environment shapes culture, and preserving nature means preserving flavor. As we explore these foods, one truth becomes clearer with every step. Rare dishes are more than recipes. They are living memories. They are stories of families, communities, and entire regions. When a dish disappears, it's not just a flavor lost, it's a chapter of identity closed forever. And that is why documenting these stories matters. If you haven't yet, leave a like and share this video so more people can understand how important it is to preserve the foods that tell our history. Now let's travel to Cagayan Valley, where a unique dish called pancit kabigan is widely known, but the rare version prepared by the town's earliest families remains largely unseen. The oldest recipe uses noodle-making techniques that were carried by migrants generations ago. They kneaded dough by hand, used traditional wooden rollers, and cooked the noodles fresh for every serving. Today, most restaurants use pre-made noodles, and while delicious, the original labor-intensive method survives in only a few kitchens. Listening to the elders speak about how their parents prepared pancit kabigan reveals a deep connection to a time when food was crafted slowly and shared with love.
These dishes remind us of something important. Modern convenience is not always a bad thing, but it often replaces traditions that gave food meaning. And when meaning fades, rarity grows. What you're watching now is more than a documentary. It is a living archive, a way to protect the invisible parts of culture that risk being forgotten in the rush of daily life. As we approach the end of this journey, our final stop brings us to the far edges of Mindoro, where the indigenous Munchies people prepare a special dish using wild root crops and forest herbs available only during a certain time of year. The rarest version is prepared during special gatherings, cooked in earthen pots over natural fire, and flavored with ingredients that grow only in untouched forest areas. This dish is not only rare, but sacred, a symbol of unity, identity, and harmony with nature. Today, with forests shrinking and traditions changing, the original form of this dish risks becoming only a memory. Yet the elders continue to teach the younger generation, hoping that even in the modern world, the essence of their tradition will live on. And now, as our documentary comes to a close, it's time to reflect on what we've discovered. The rare foods of the Philippines are not rare because they are strange or forgotten. They are rare because they represent patience in a fast world. They carry secrets that cannot be replaced by machines. They are rooted in the land, the sky, the people, and the past. When we lose these foods, we do not lose a recipe, we lose a story. We lose a connection to ancestors who survived on these dishes, celebrated with them, and built communities around them. But this story does not have to end with loss. It can end with revival, with curiosity, with appreciation, with people like you who care enough to watch, learn, and share these traditions. By telling these stories, by supporting documentaries like this, you help protect the cultural heritage that might otherwise disappear. Your view, your like, your comment, and your subscription create a ripple, one that keeps these traditions alive just a little longer. So as we close this journey, remember this: the rare foods of the Philippines are not just meals. They are living pieces of history. And by learning about them, by appreciating them, you become part of the effort to keep them alive. If you believe these stories should continue, subscribe to this channel, share this video, and stay with us for more journeys into culture, heritage, and the hidden beauty of the world. Thank you for watching, thank you for caring, and thank you for helping keep these traditions alive. Our journey ends here for now, but the stories continue waiting to be told, remembered, and passed on.